what's important now? And are we doing our sweet spot to the very best that we can be doing our sweet spot before we move on and focus on adding something else and adding something else? That kind of questioning is very helpful for entrepreneurs. And the planner really supports you in staying in touch with the sweet spot of the business and where you're going to get the most value from keeping things simple.
Profit Designers, we've hit the 100,000 download milestone here on the podcast, and we couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for listening from week to week. Thank you for sharing the episodes with your friends. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for leaving reviews. At Tap the Potential, it's important to us that we are changing the lives of entrepreneurs across the globe. And we know that every one of those 100,000 downloads signifies a touch, a connection that we have made with an entrepreneur to support you in taking your life back from your business. And we want to say thank you. We believe in being a gift from our gifts at Tap the Potential. And we know that one of your biggest struggles is your time, particularly finding time for what matters most. And with that in mind, we have created the Tap the Potential Strategic Planner for 2023. Download the planner so that you can focus your time on your $10,000 an hour activities, create your ideal schedule, live by your ideal schedule, have the powerful questions that get you back on track when you find yourself falling away, and take the key actions that move your business towards profitability, towards being able to work a 25-hour work week or take that 4-week vacation. The Tap the Potential Strategic Planner was designed for our Better Business, Better Life clients, and we use it in our work with them, and now we want to share it with you. Head on over to tapthepotential.com/planner and download your planner now.
Are you struggling to make time for what matters most to you? I know when I started out in my business, that was one of my biggest struggles, is how do I have the time to get everything done? And then as my business grew, that problem got bigger and bigger. It never seemed to go away until I learned some key things about managing my time. And today here on the Profit by Design podcast, I am joined by one person who was critical in my life for helping me to wrangle my time in the business. And that is our lead strategist here at Tap the Potential. Melissa Swire is with me. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Starling. And at Tap the Potential, Melissa, we're all about supporting these business owners in taking their lives back from their business and designing sustainably profitable businesses that give more time for what matters most and more money in their bank account. So today we're going to talk about the more time for what matters most. And you have been so integral in supporting our clients as they're coming into Tap the Potential and figuring out, how do I have time to do this work on my business that I know I need to do? So I want to create the opportunity here for you to share your wisdom with more entrepreneurs.
You know, the biggest thing that we see when small business owners come into our program is that they're putting work before life, and they just don't have the system set up in their business, and they're not managing their time effectively. And we hear so many stories, entrepreneurs going home and still being attached to their phones or their laptops, answering emails and staff, team member questions. And it really takes a lot away from families. And, you know, at Tap the Potential, we believe that work supports life. So time mastery is a topic of discussion in our world every day. And we really believe that with a few simple tools and systems in place, that you can build a business that supports your life. And that is one of the first things that we focus on when our clients enter our program.
Yeah. And, you know, when we're starting to put these simple things in place with our clients, a lot of times it initially feels hard for them to do it, but then they try it and they do it for a week or 2 weeks. And then they come back to our group meeting and they're like, oh my gosh, this really worked. I was able to do this. And so I just want to encourage everyone listening, be open and be curious as you're listening to this about what's possible when you try something new or put in more structure. And I'm just going to say something about us entrepreneurs. We tend to have a lot of free spirit energy and we don't want to be tied down and we, time blocking or, making commitments on our calendar. That keeps us from doing what we want to do or feel like doing in the moment. And I think one of the big realizations for entrepreneurs when they start using some of these tools and structures is these actually create more space for you to be spontaneous and creative, because things come out of our head that have been in our head that keep us from being spontaneous and creative when we're able to have better control of our time.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what time management actually is. It's really a mindset. And when you focus on too many things, like you said, Dr. Sabrina, you get trapped inside of your head and you just get stuck and you're not sure what to do next, which is something that I think we talk about every week at Tap the Potential. But time management really is about managing your life. And when you effectively manage what you choose to focus on, you can live a life that allows you to do what's most important to you. And the use of your time determines the entire quality of your life. So that's your business life, your professional life, how much time you choose to spend with your spouse, your partner, your children. And that's one thing that we really go deep on at Tap the Potential. It's not just about your business goals, it's about your personal goals and what's important to you. How much time do you want to spend each week working on hobbies, having time for self-care? And as a business owner, that is very overwhelming, but it's so important because, and this is a lesson you taught me, Dr. Sabrina, if you're filling all of your extra time with work, there's no space for creativity. And it's usually in those moments when you're taking that breath, when you're doing the things that you love, that all of the innovation happens. Yes. And you can't add more time to your day. So you have to manage yourself. So self-discipline and choice is definitely the key to time management.
Melissa, I want to share, before we go too deep into this, for our listeners, that you have created an amazing tool to support business owners in taking their lives back. And that's the Tap the Potential annual planner. And it's a free download. You can go to tapthepotential.com/planner and download the PDF. And I took this and I got this bound. I printed it out and I got this bound at UPS for $6. So this is huge value. And what I love about the planner is the structure, where you're really helping us entrepreneurs stay focused on what our biggest priorities are. So we're going to talk more about the planner as Melissa goes through what she has to share with you. But if you are struggling, I really encourage you to get this tool, tapthepotential.com/planner.
Yes. And when we designed this planner, we designed it in mind with increasing profitability. So everything that we're going to share with you today will allow you to increase your profitability by at least 25% just by implementing what we're working on today. And that's going to increase your revenue and give you more time for what matters most.
So Melissa, you just drew a very powerful connection there, that how we manage our time impacts our profitability. This is a very significant topic because I don't know that we business owners make that connection when we are going around putting out the fires and in survival mode and we're in the survival trap. We're thinking we're just doing what we need to do to survive and to keep the doors open. And we're not realizing that those choices of how we're not being thoughtful about our time are actually undermining our ability to be profitable. So I just wanted to draw attention to that. It's a very powerful point.
Absolutely. When you and I were working on some of these principles together a couple of years ago, I immediately shaved 10 hours off of my work week. That is a massive impact. So I just want to share with everyone that's listening, if you really take everything that we're sharing today and implement it, your productivity is going to increase. The joy that you're experiencing at work is going to increase, and you will see that profitability. It's not an easy. It won't be done tomorrow. It took us a few months. I think it took us about 6 months of working together to even get your ideal day schedule fully implemented. Dr. Sabrina said it does take.
Well, and it's really a matter of, once we determine what our ideal day is, taking those small steps forward in a consistent direction over time that lead to big change. So for me, my struggle when Melissa started helping me is I was just in one meeting after another. I had no breaks in my day. Eating lunch was done between, a minute here and there in between phone calls if I got lunch. And so I would come out of my day and I would be wiped out. And so it was really about creating more open time in my calendar. And that took a little bit of time. And it wasn't like I created my ideal day and then the next week I was living my ideal day life. That wasn't going on. But it was that the next week was a little better. And the week after that was a little better and a little bit better. And so it was a cumulative effect over time.
Yes. And the accountability for that, we're really going to dig into here in a few minutes. And I think the key to that is asking powerful questions. So as you're planning your day and your week, I want to share some powerful questions with you. Ask yourself, what best version of myself will I live today?
I love that.
And then set your intention for the day. So what is the best outcome for today? And then I want you to think about that in another area, and that's with your meetings. So be very mindful of guarding your time and which meetings that you're saying yes to, and ask yourself, what is the intention of the meeting? And actually go to the meeting with whoever you're meeting with, whether it's your team or one-to-one, and say, what is our intention for our time together? That's going to really help everyone be focused and get the outcome that you desire. So what I suggest to do is to make a list of, before every week, make a list of everything that you're going to be working on the following week. What are your goals? What projects do you have? And what do you need to accomplish this week?
So I want to comment, this is all structured for you in the planner. So you have a sheet for each week, and it says, this week I will be successful if I, 1 and 2, I will commit to practicing veggies first, self-care, by doing these 1 or 2 things. I will nurture the relationships most important to me by doing these 1 or 2 things. And then the other aspect of this is there's a place to list appointments. You're listing what you're grateful for. You're listing your goals. And then there's a top priorities list here for each day of the week that you can connect to what you said about, this week I will be successful if I. So this is where you put your $10,000 an hour activities. And then there's a list here for what you can delegate. So you're prompted every week to think about, what can I delegate? That's huge.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that. And as you're writing down your top priorities for the week, remember, keep them in those boxes. You don't want to list 50 tasks or to-dos, and it's just unachievable. And we're going to dig into that as well here in a few minutes. But as you are making your list for the upcoming week on that page, I want you to really end your day, and we're going to go through this as well, end your day with end of the day reflection on, what do I have on my calendar tomorrow? Your subconscious is going to work through that list throughout the night. And when you wake up, you're going to feel refreshed. You're going to have insights, intuition on what really matters and how to simplify those. And with that list, you're going to analyze where you are, what's most important, what you can get rid of, what you can delegate, and what can be delayed. And then go back to, as you're working through that list every day of your priorities, check items off as you complete it. You want to have that feeling of accomplishment. So let's get into calendaring. That's the biggest question I think that we get from our clients and our colleagues. And calendaring, I think we make it really big in our heads, but it's really not. It's very simple. Think of your calendar as you're setting boundaries around your calendar, like you're a bouncer in a nightclub. So identify what time you're showing up for work and what time you are leaving. And when you clock out of work, you are done. You owe it to your family, to yourself, to shut off. It's so hard as an entrepreneur. I know we're thinking about our businesses all of the time, But if you look at it as in the mindset of, if I shut this off and I'm freeing up space for me and the things that are important in my life, I am going to come back to work rested, refreshed, and ready to start again. And that is when the magic is going to happen. So set those boundaries, do whatever you need to do to turn it off at a certain time. Let your team know, turn off your notifications on your phone apps, shut your laptops off. And as people are asking for your time, say no. Unless it is extremely important, say no to the things that aren't pushing the needle forward and say yes to the most important things.
Yes. And, sometimes people struggle with, well, I don't know how to say no. That feels really uncomfortable. And I've heard others say no to me in ways that I received it very well. And so some of the things that I received really well were, I have another focus right now that's taking a lot of my time. I'm just not able to have this meeting with you. And that's, it's just acknowledging that I have something that's important to me that I'm really dedicating time to. And the other tip I want to give you is, if you are a real people pleaser, and 68% of our population struggles with this, Melissa. So a lot of people have the people pleasing disease. And if you're a people pleaser, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to get an EA, an executive assistant, who is the bouncer for your calendar. They run your calendar. And that takes you out of the conversation. I think many of us in business struggle when someone comes to us and makes a direct request and says, will you do this or that with me? And when you say, well, I'm going to refer you over to my assistant who manages my calendar, work with her on that, that creates a buffer immediately.
Yes. I highly recommend an EA. You could have an EA for 5 or 10 hours a week, and they will free up so much of your time. And they're going to catch things in your calendar and in your email that you wouldn't necessarily catch. So I highly recommend. And when you're calendaring, prioritize your day strategically. So we're going to talk about all of the things that really are important as you are looking at your calendar. And one thing to start off with is creating your ideal day schedule. And that's in the planner as well. What does your ideal day look like? If you could wave a magic wand and you're working in your zone of genius, what are the things that you need to be focused on the ideal day? So after you have your ideal day mapped out, think about the sequence of how you're going to do things. So I highly, highly, highly recommend time blocking or chunking your time. And when you're time blocking, it allows you to reduce the amount of time that you spend on tasks up to 80% by simply concentrating on light tasks. So if part of your day is to answer emails, answer text messages, phone calls, Voxer messages, do all of that in one block of time.
I want to elaborate on this because this really gets at context switching. And I was just having a conversation with a client and some of his team members yesterday, and we were recognizing that a key role that one of the team members is in requires a lot of higher level thinking and problem solving and attention to detail. And one of the reasons that they have a slowdown in their sales and cash flow is because this particular team member gets pulled into different things that are needed in the business while he's trying to do this particular activity that requires all this higher level thinking. And so we started looking at how to block time so that those distractions wouldn't happen, because every time we context switch, we lose productivity, and we also increase the likelihood of making mistakes. And that's what they were really tuning into, is how costly those distractions can be, because he may misquote something or may do something that could cost the business a lot of money down the road. And so the value of just avoiding those distractions and increasing productivity and being able to move the process along faster because there's a block of time on the calendar dedicated to it. And then it's a matter of teaching the rest of the team to respect that block of time. And when you can help your team understand how important it is that those time blocks be respected, and everyone starts to respect it, it creates accountability for you on your own calendar to keep your time blocks.
Yes, absolutely. We share calendars at Tap the Potential, and I love that. I try to be mindful sometimes when I'm communicating with you on, certain things that you might be doing. And when you're blocking these tasks together, set an alarm. It may be alarm on your phone or your watch. I use my Alexa, and I just tell Alexa to set an alarm for a certain time. So I might work on a task for 45 minutes, and then Alexa stops me, and then leave white space between tasks and meetings. Adding in that buffer time is so important. We get called up so many times in not having lunch, like you mentioned earlier, or not being able to use the bathroom because we just have back-to-back meetings or showing up at meetings late. So leaving 15 to 30 minutes between meetings is really important. But just stepping away from your desk every 45 minutes and just walking keeps you going throughout the day. And also, I do not recommend beginning your day with email.
Yeah.
Your email is like a to-do list. So set that aside for later in the day. An important time block to add to your calendar, this is the most important for yourself, is a self-care time block. You might call it self-care, me time, veggies first, whatever that looks like to you. Honor that time block before all others.
Yeah, that is your highest value time because it makes you a better human being. When we start to deprive ourselves of our veggies first every day, that's when we become grumpy with the people who matter most to us, short, snippy, and we start damaging relationships. But it's also where we deprive ourselves of the white space that we need mentally to be at our best.
Yes.
And so why would we intentionally choose to say, you know what? I'm going to start my day and I'm really going to show up at 75% of myself today versus, you know what, I'm going to take this hour for self-care so I can show up the rest of my day at 100%. Like, who would say I'm going to be intentionally 75% today?
Yes.
But that's what we do when we skip our veggies, our self-care.
We do. And on the other side of that, the most important time block for your business is thinking time. So our team schedules thinking time every week. It is the most important time of your work week. Because during that thinking time, you can strategize. You can ask yourself powerful questions that are going to help you achieve your goals.
I want to say that our newer team members are scheduling reflection at the end of each day, looking at what went well today, what do I need support on, what will I take from today that will help me be better tomorrow. So that 1% better every day. There's reflection time that they're being asked to do and block in on their calendar. And they're also being asked to do that at the beginning of the day and check in and say, here's my focus for the day. So we're creating structures for our team members to support them in building these healthy habits.
I love that. Other time blocks might include quick tasks. So set aside 45 minutes to just knock out administrative type tasks, communication, which includes your email, your quarterly goals and projects. Learning time is another wonderful time block that we utilize at Tap the Potential. So it's 45 minutes to 90 minutes a week of, it might be a book that we're reading or a course that we're taking. It could be coaching time with someone else on the team. When it comes to meetings, highly suggest that you batch those on specific days. So Dr. Sabrina, you and I have typically meetings Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then Mondays and Fridays are for project days. Mm-hmm. That is so helpful for you to have that face down time to do work. And again, I want to remind you, as you go into every meeting, ask, what is the intention of this meeting? Mm-hmm. We also, you've heard this on the Profit by Design podcast, over one-to-one meetings with your team members is so vital. Don't ever skip those meetings. They are so important. You mentioned the daily reflection, what went well. Where was I squirreling today? And that brings me into, I recommend that you have a time audit each week. So the last day of the week, whether it's Thursday afternoon or Friday afternoon, take a few moments to have a time audit. Look back through your planner at all of those top priorities, all of the meetings that you had on your calendar, and say, did this activity make an impact towards my goals? Ask yourself, what can I let go of? What could have been delegated? How much time did I spend doing the things that are most important to me? So I want to get into for a moment on work simplification. So We're always talking about simplify, and Amy, the integrator on our team, she is our rock. She's so phenomenal, and she's always saying we need to simplify things, and she's so right. Mm-hmm. So you can work longer hours to get everything done that you need to do in your business, but that's not the answer. What if instead you do fewer things, but the most important things that you are the best at? So working in your zone of genius, always be looking for ways to do tasks that are faster, easier, cheaper, better. Find ways to streamline your existing processes. And keep in mind Parkinson's law. Work expands or contracts to fill the time allotted for. So set tight deadlines and you'll get more work done in a shorter period of time.
There's so much truth in this, Melissa, and I cannot tell you how helpful it is for us on our team. We have a lot of visionary energy on our team, yes. And we have so many great ideas. And trust me, they're really good ideas. You don't see us implement them because Amy says, what's important now? And are we doing our sweet spot to the very best that we can be doing our sweet spot before we move on and focus on adding something else and adding something else? That kind of questioning is very helpful for entrepreneurs. And the planner really supports you in staying in touch with the sweet spot of the business and where you're going to get the most value from keeping things simple.
Yes. So we designed the Tap the Potential Planner to help you think strategically about your time. And when you think about everything that you're designing in your business, often the one thing that we don't think about strategically is our time. But that should be the first thing that we're planning. So the planner aligns with the Tap the Potential solution, including the pumpkin plan and profit first. It also includes prompts for annual and quarterly goal setting. And my absolute favorite is the powerful questions to ask yourself each week, and then at the beginning and the end of each month. And so why would we add powerful questions in our planner? Because taking the time to ask yourself these powerful questions makes task completion more productive. And here are some of my favorites. At the beginning of the month, some of the questions are, this month will be successful if I'm honest about my calendar.
That's my favorite question.
What wins do I want to celebrate at the end of the month? And then end of the month reflection questions include, these are just some of my favorites. What challenges did I face this month? Where are the gaps? What progress did I make towards quarterly goals? And how did I show up for my family?
Oh, that's a powerful question. Because it's really easy for us to look at our planners and say, oh, I got all these things done in my business, but how did I show up for the people that matter most to me? Mm. And just being prompted to reflect on that each month helps us be more intentional in that area of our life.
Absolutely. So we dig into this really deep in our Take Your Time Back strategy sessions with me. And I just want to share with everyone, Dr. Sabrina, I have 3 spaces right now in the Take Your Time Back strategy sessions. And you take an assessment, we create your ideal day, and then we meet together for 90 minutes and we really dig in deep on mastering your time and taking your time back. And then you get a whole day of Voxer with me for follow-up questions. And Voxer is like a walkie-talkie app. So this is a voice messaging app that you can ask those powerful questions after you begin to implement this strategy. And if anyone's interested in signing up, you can just go onto our webpage, tapthepotential.com, and book a call.
And when you book a call, you will connect with one of our success team members and just say to them, I heard Melissa talk about the Take Your Time Back strategy session on the podcast. I'm really curious about that. I want to know more. I might want to sign up for that. And then our success team member will put you in direct contact with Melissa, and she will help you figure out signing up for it and get your spot on the calendar for this. And this is an incredible opportunity because Melissa is masterful at helping you take your time back and using it in supporting you and getting your calendar in place for that. So if this is an area where you just keep struggling and you keep floundering and your business is running your life, this is a tremendous opportunity to have this one session with Melissa and the follow-up that she's offering so that you can just course correct and get things moving forward. So again, you can book a call for that at tapthepotential.com. And then on the homepage, it says book a call. So, Melissa, there's something else really fun that we are doing now with our podcasts and our Mighty Networks group at Tap the Potential. And I want to share a little bit about that with our listeners because we are really wanting to be intentional to be in a conversation with you. And I know so many times I listen to a lot of podcasts and I get ideas or ahas, or I'm confronted with something that might be hard to look at. But wow, I'm really glad they talked about it on that podcast because it's a reality I need to face. And so as a podcaster, it's really helpful for me to hear, where are your aha moments and what are the things that resonate with you, or what are the things that you have questions about? And so when you come into our Mighty Network group, we share the podcast. Our team shares their reflections on what's happening on the podcast and what they've heard. And it's your opportunity to engage in conversation, ask me questions, and share those aha moments. And once a week, I will be compiling your questions and your ahas, and I will come on live in the Mighty Networks group and respond to your questions. So you no longer have to listen to a podcast and say, well, I get that, Sabrina, but that makes me think about this. And what about that? And then you're kind of left on your own to deal with that. Not anymore. Come into our Mighty Networks group, say those things to me, and I'm going to respond to you. We're going to have a conversation around these things. So you can come into our group. Just go to tapthepotential.com/group.
I love that. And you mentioned our success team a few moments ago. The success team is in the Mighty Networks group daily, and they are providing resources that small business owners need to help get them unstuck from areas in their businesses, the challenges that they're having, and they are phenomenal resources.
Yes. And I think what people don't understand is when you come into Tap the Potential, you have the opportunity to take our assessment. There's no charge to take the assessment. You get to meet with a member of our success team to debrief that assessment. And whether or not you sign up for services with us, they are going to connect you with resources that support you around your existing challenges in your business. And so there's so many resources that you have access to, and it's just a matter of raising your hand and saying, hey, help me. And we're here to help. So join our community. And, just as an example of how valuable what's being shared in the Mighty Networks is, yesterday, Melissa posted about what are you reading? And then there's this long discussion thread with books that other entrepreneurs in the community are currently reading with some ahas and takeaways from those books. And I love learning what people are reading because I'm always looking for something new. And one of our community members sent me a quote from one of the books that she's reading. And she said, this makes me understand what you guys are doing at Tap the Potential and how it drives efficiency in our businesses, because she read something else in another book. And so that's an example of the resource sharing that's going on in our community. So.
Yeah. And the fun thing is sometimes we have giveaways. So at our Breakthroughs retreat last week, I stole the book, Still Like an Artist. And I kind of felt guilty about that. So I popped it into the Mighty Networks channel and I said, I stole this book from the retreat. I'm going to read it. And if you are the first person to DM me, I will mail it to you. And I think that kind of made me feel a little bit better for grabbing the book out of our library. But it is just such a collaborative community. And, I think the biggest takeaway for me at our retreat last week is there's so many business owners who are doing it alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to. We have this amazing community established, and you can come in and get support and, support from people who are like-minded and going through the same struggles that you are.
Yeah. And, you're bringing up the retreat, and it's not something that we talk about a lot at Tap the Potential, but I do want to share here that if you are interested in coming to the next Breakthroughs retreat, which will happen in March 2024 in Austin, Texas, where you have the opportunity to interact for multiple days with us on the Tap the Potential team and high-level business owners. So not necessarily people who are on a pedestal in terms of high level, but I'm talking about people who care, people who want to support other entrepreneurs, people who have taken their school of hard knocks experiences and turned those into opportunities grown through those opportunities and who are more than willing to share with you how they've had the challenges you've had, and here's what they've done. And one of the best parts of the retreat is our Q storming sessions. It's unique to what we do at Tap the Potential. I designed that out of having attended multiple retreat and masterminds myself. And I looked at what wasn't working. And I learned about asking powerful questions. And I saw the opportunity for us to combine masterminding with Q storming, and this experience that happens when these entrepreneurs come together and ask powerful questions is amazing. And the clarity that comes from just spending like 45 minutes with people, you're in a group of 5 or 6, you have a facilitator and other entrepreneurs who are focused on supporting you in finding your best answer to your questions. So not telling you what to do, which is different than most masterminding, but supporting you in finding your best answer. Yeah. So if you want to learn about our retreat, head over to tapthepotential.com/retreat.
And we have amazing speakers lined up for next year. So it's a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's a great experience. So as we close out today, I want to leave you with a powerful question and invite you to answer it in the Mighty Networks group with us. So my question to you is, what's possible for you when you are moving closer and closer to your ideal day with your calendar? What's possible for you? What would be going on in your life if you were living closely to your ideal day? Not perfect, but very closely. So come into our Mighty Networks and tell us.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Sabrina.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, Melissa. And by the way, Melissa's going to be coming on more podcast episodes. She has a lot of wisdom and experience to be sharing. So we'll be seeing more of her here in the future. Thanks for being here, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time with me today. Join me in our Tap the Potential Mighty Networks community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Isn't it time you take your life back? And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.